Welcome to Stage Mom Podcast, a podcast for breakthrough bands and artists. Today we have Telekon. Telekon is an indie rock band out of South Florida. I had so much fun when I sat down to get to know these guys. They are super interesting and intelligent. The way that they view music really inspires me to see it from the direction they see it. I found myself talking to them for over 2 hours and could have sat with them for many more hours and not be bored. Check out their newest single, Underwater, on all music platforms.
Get up from your bed, going out of style. Get it to your head, man, it's been a while. Searching for a day that'll never come. Try to run away, it'll find you someday.
Okay, so I have Telekon, and I'm going to have them all introduce themselves and let us know a little bit about them individually and what they do in their band. And we will start with...
I'm Michael. I'm 18. Grew up in Aventura, still there right now. I think I bring a little bit of The Cure, a little bit of the Smiths energy, an alternative take, you know. That's what I like.
Yeah. I'm Tomas. I'm also 18 from Aventura, and I play guitar and I sing. And I'd say there's a lot of influences from the Police, Foals, and sort of like Oasis, that kind of vibe. Also the Smiths and The Cure, like him, and things of that sort. Stone Roses, just generally that pop rock type of deal.
I'm Luis. I'm 23. What I try to bring to the band is a lot of influence from a lot of psychedelic rock, a lot of jazz stuff.
What do you play?
Oh, what?
What instrument do you play?
Dude, you can only hear it. I play drums, which is why the John Bonham thing. In terms of influences that are a bit more modern, I think Queens of Stone Age, for sure. Some metal bands. Not that we play metal, but I like to mix things up. I like to stay as genreless as possible.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Your band name, tell me, what does it mean?
Do you want to take it, or?
Sure. This one's really funny. Because people ask me this pretty often because it's a bit of a weird name. It really just came out because so this was before Luis was even in the band. Mm-hmm. It used to be just Michael and I, and we are notoriously terrible at coming up with names, mm-hmm. any sort of names. So the band had been together for at least 6 months or something. Yeah. Like a long time. We were making music and recording and stuff, and we didn't have a name for the band. Mm. And one day we just sat down late at night. We're like, okay, we're going to walk out with a name, no matter what happens. And whatever that name is, no matter how much we dislike it, we're sticking to it. And we just started messing around with a bunch of weird shit, like anagrams and all that. And one of them was the phrase, "Let Me Know," which ended up being the name of our first EP. And we just started messing around with that. And then I got Telekon, and I thought that was kind of cool until I realized that the M and the W were missing.
And then I was like, oh, they just cancel out.
And so we just said, all right, whatever. I mean, it's not the best name. I don't think we'll ever be happy with whatever name we come up with. So we'll just, I always remember just seeing this interview of Coldplay talking about how they just stole their name from a different band that had disbanded, a local band at the time. And
Really?
They were it was a friend of theirs that said, yeah, no, our band is disbanded, you guys can take the name if you want. And they were like, well, it'll be a temporary name until we come up with a better one. And they're like, well, now I think it's a little too late to change it, but yeah, and I feel like that's going to be us.
Oh, that's interesting.
Expect me to believe that, bro? Say you took it from an album. There's a Gary Newman album. Okay. That's literally Telekon.
I'll explain
that was the way we do too. I believe that you guys came up with it.
No, I swear to God. We did not know of the existence. None of us listened to Gary Newman. We did not know of the existence of that album.
If I dug deeper, I feel like I could.
No, we found it after we made the name, but we're like, it'll be fun.
That is so... That is so funny.
But that's the story they give me. So I asked
That's the one we like to tell people.
But when someone asks me, like, the Gary Newman album, I'm not going to go into that whole thing.
Oh, people actually ask you that?
3 people have.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I mean, yeah. But
It's especially funny because we don't even make music that's anything like Gary Newman or like what's on that album. And there's also, we found out later on that there's a second Telekon. We like to call them Evil Telekon. They're from Spain. And they make EDM music.
Really?
Yeah. And it's funny because the way that YouTube, the system works is that they just kind of group, if you have multiple artists that have the same name, they all just get grouped into the same channel.
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah,
Because indie art, the only way to fix that is if you contact YouTube. And if you know anything about YouTube, is that they don't
Right.
they're impossible to contact. So we have ownership of the channel. We even have it's our logo on it, it's our videos and stuff. But then there's also their music that's also just kind of there, just sitting.
Yeah.
And we're like,
Is it any good?
I wouldn't be able to tell you because I'm
have to
not.
ask my
I don't know that much
Yeah.
about EDM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's all right.
It's alright.
That's all right.
Are we gonna start a Telekon feud? The two Telekons against each other.
Might.
My
Contest.
Just might.
The Telecontest.
So what got you guys into music?
I think I was just listening to a lot of Queen,
Okay.
and I saw Brian May made his own guitar, and I was like, if he made his own guitar when he was like really young, I feel like I can learn the guitar. I'll try learning the guitar. And I was like, okay, I'm not getting very far with this. And so I joined a band as hopefully the guitarist, and he was in it as the drummer. But I quickly became the bassist, and I was blended a bass from him, I believe. No, you
No,
didn't
that
have
was
a bass at the
No,
time.
yeah, I didn't have one. Yeah.
So I was lended a bass from Tommy for a while.
Yeah.
And then after that, I gradually learned the bass. It was a slow process for a few months.
Wasn't that slow?
Wasn't that slow?
Nah. I don't
And
remember.
now you're a bass
Felt
god.
slow.
There it is.
Some may have called me the bass god once or twice.
The CEO of bass, some might say.
May or may not be known as
They-
a bass god.
They
Yes.
prayed to my shrine. But yeah, it all started with Brian May's guitar.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it was just like a family thing,
Okay.
first and foremost, just because my dad, when he was my age, also played guitar growing up.
Okay.
And the difference is that he grew up in like a small town in Argentina, and so for him, like that whole thing of like becoming a musician for a living was never even an option or anything he had considered. I'm lucky enough that I live here in the United States,
Right.
where that's like a lot more of a possibility.
Right.
And I think for a long time I was never really that into music. In fact, I remember thinking as a kid, just like I can't even fathom that ability of like being able to make a song from scratch. Like how would you even go about that?
Right.
And there was always just a guitar lying around in my house, especially because my sister started playing at some point, and she has an incredible voice, even though she stopped playing all music because she has a lot of stage fright.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, she just doesn't get into music. But I, as a kid, I remember in 5th grade. What was our music teacher's name?
Lakovsky.
Lakovsky. It was Mr. Lakovsky's class, and he had brought in this electronic drum kit, this like really small kit. And little like 5-year-old me, just going like stupid brain, was like, "This is so fun! I get to hit things, and it makes music and whatever." And I begged my parents for like a good 3 years to get me a drum set, and they never did because they're like, "It's too much noise," blah blah blah. Eventually, they gave in like 7th grade, and that's when I started playing drums.
Okay.
And I joined that band that he was also in, which is how we really, even though we like grew up in the same school, we never really talked until that. And that's how we really became acquainted. And yeah, from then I just started picking up other instruments along the way, and now I guess guitar is just the one I've stuck with the
That's
most.
your instrument of choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's funny that I'm now in the band because I started on guitar. I've now moved on to drums.
Yeah.
So it's very
Swapped it.
it's fun to see this transition. But I'm reverting back to his 5-year-old self. And I'm just like, it was fun to hit. But I started off when I was a kid. I was a very bookish kid.
Okay.
I just read a lot, and I like watching movies, and that was like my big things.
Right.
Playing video games like casually.
Right.
But when I was like around 14, 15, I had an idea to become a filmmaker or become a writer, you know, and but I didn't like music at all. Like I thought music was like a low form of art.
Right.
Because you can't tell an hour-long story.
I was the same way. I was really into film before I was into
That's
music.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, my parents are not super musically expressive. Like, my dad just listens to standard classic rock. My mom listens to, like, Christian rock.
Okay.
And then there was top 40. And I was like, oh, that's what old modern music has to offer me.
Right.
So I liked classical music, and I liked video game music, and, like, movie music. And I had this, and growing up, I wasn't very social. But the one best friend I had at the time was really into listening to albums. Mm-hmm. And you listen to like 2 a day. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, that blew my mind.
Right.
And I was like, does he not realize he's wasting his time? I gotta be proven wrong somehow, right? And I'm like, listen, bro, what you see in it? And he was like, go home, listen to, like, he gave me a list of like 10 albums. But the first one on the list was Dark Side of the Moon. And I listened to that, and it blew my mind.
Right.
I was like, oh, this is someone using the medium to tell a story.
Right.
That's big, that's expansive, that's universal.
Right.
And I was like, oh my god, you can do this. I became obsessed. I listened to that album every single day.
It's a great album.
For like a year.
How old were you when this happened?
I was like 15.
And
from there,
15-year-old to feel that way.
it was just for whatever reason, I know I'm like being able to speak it. Like, if you ask me why I like the album so much at 15, I have no idea.
Right.
I just need to listen to it every day. Yeah, like, and not just that, I was like, oh, then there's a whole world. Because from the 10 albums, I branched out a bunch. I started doing what he's doing. 2 albums, 3 albums a day. Right. But that's been my go-to. And from there, I was like, okay, making a movie is way harder, takes more money, and I have to think about a lot more options, but making an album, way simpler, right? So I worked towards that. I got myself a little electric drum set, a guitar. I had a keyboard. I never got good at keyboard. I got myself a bass, and I worked at that, and I released one album in high school, one album when I was like going through college. And now I'm working on doing drums, and with this band, I fucking love it.
So, what do you like better, the electric drums or the regular? Because
the regular.
Me too. Yeah. I never understood like why anybody would choose to play the electric. Like my daughter, she's starting to teach lessons to people, and they're like, "Oh, well, we have an electric drum set at the house. Maybe." I'm like, why would you not want to learn on? They're like, well, if this is what he's going to be playing, then.
I mean, there's a lot of people I can tell you that the way they feel about it is just you have a more expansive range of sounds when it comes to electronic drum kit.
Yeah,
you can do a lot of things with that. But it's always like a struggle with us because he 100% prefers like the acoustic kit, but where we rehearse in my garage. Despite my first instrument being drums, I've never had an acoustic set. It's always been just this little electric kit that I had. And he's always playing with that while we were rehearsing. And he's like, God, I wish I had the acoustic kit right now. This would just make things so much easier. Mm-hmm. But I think also just for us in terms of like, because our music is like 100% just like homegrown or whatever. Like we record it all ourselves in our garage. It's a lot more useful to have recording-wise that electronic drum kit because we can mess with the sound a lot more. We can determine what we want to do with it a lot more easily. And also, just to record drums, you need so many microphones and you need to learn a lot of things. Whereas with this, it's MIDI. You plug it in, you click record, and you're good. And yeah, some people are going to be able to tell. They're going to be like, oh, that's not an acoustic, that's an electronic kit, but I even sometimes find it hard to tell a lot of the times if it's actually like a real recorded drum kit or if it's like electronic.
Nowadays, you can get really good with it.
Yeah, nowadays, like, some of the softwares that they've made is, like, it's actually crazy.
Have you listened to Random Access Memories?
No.
Daft Punk?
No.
You guys listen to that?
I can't remember any of the songs,
MIDI,
but I know
bro.
it.
Every single instrument on that album is MIDI.
Right, yeah, I remember
And
hearing about that,
it blows my mind because it does sound like a full-on orchestra.
Really?
Yeah. But and that's like 2010, so like the technology people have nowadays.
Yeah. If you're a good enough like producer, like you can
Daft
really
Punk
make
are
some...
God-tier producers.
Do you do your own producing?
Yeah, I'm the like producer.
Nice.
And that's even what I'm gonna try to study for college, just because that's you know,
It will help you.
yeah, it's fun, and even like outside of our own music, I like just being able to like I've been doing that with a friend of mine recently who she also wants to do music, and she'll just like come into the studio, and I like to sort of produce that too, which is also an interesting experience because for the most part, it's always been like producing like my own things that I've written or that he's written or that we've all he's written or we've all written together. But that's very interesting because I didn't write this.
Right.
I'm not singing on it either. Mm-hmm. I have to learn how to work with someone else's voice, how to mix that.
Yeah.
And because obviously everything else is like I'm recording my own guitars and whatever, but I'm not recording my own vocals.
Right.
So it's like, okay, how do I work around that? How do I make?
And
that
you also
sound?
have to see past your own opinion on it. Like,
Yes.
you have to really get yourself into their head and what they're thinking that they want it to be.
No, especially because
Which I would have a hard time with because I'm a control freak.
Really? Yeah. I mean, no, yeah, especially because her music is very like pop, like Taylor Swift type deal.
Okay.
And ours is very much not.
Right.
And I don't even know necessarily what you would describe it as, but seeing as most people say that we sound like the Smiths and the Cure and the Police, it's very different from that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I gotta sort of listen to those things and listen to like, okay, what sound am I trying to capture? Because it's not what I listen to every day. It's something that's completely different.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, I will tell you, I've been going crazy. I've heard your unreleased song, Underwater. So good.
Thank you.
I've played it so many times, and I'm sorry, but I did leak it to my brother-in-law because I had to know what it sounded like. I was like, I have to send you this song because he was like back in the day in the 80s. It reminds me of an 80s song. And that as soon as it kicks off, I'm like, this is like, I can't think of the band. So, and he was like hardcore Rat, Motley Crue, like all them, Scorpion, everybody back in the 80s. And I was like, I'm sending this to you. You're going to tell me who they sound like. He's like, it's very 80s, but I can't pinpoint the band either. Yeah. So we don't know. We just know that it's very 80s. And it's a great, like when it comes out, it's coming out next week.
Yeah, well, as of recording this, yes, February 12th is when it would be coming out. And the funny thing is, since this is being released later, I can kind of talk about it, because the plan is actually kind of to release it as a surprise.
Okay.
Because, it is coming out next week, and we haven't announced it yet.
Okay.
Right now, what we're talking about is just, like, the album and all that. Mm-hmm. And then it's going to be, like, kind of, like, out of nowhere, like, surprise, here it is.
Right.
Maybe, like, a day before announce it or something, but it's just, like... It just kind of comes out, and as part of, like, promotion for the album, because that's, like, where it's all leading up towards. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I saw on your Instagram you were saying we have a big announcement or big plans, something like that.
Yeah.
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 And I've been checking back to see what it is, and I haven't heard yet, but now I have.
Yeah. You get the sneak.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you two went to school together. How did you meet Louis?
Yes. We
I told you.
we're all really bad with names. It's okay. Awful. All three of us.
I'm gonna start having everybody wear name tags because I'm awful.
We're one of those like, hello, my name is. No. That story is actually pretty standard. It's really just because in Aventura, unfortunately, there's not a lot of I guess what you could call cultivation of the arts. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of people do that kind of stuff, and the people that are into making music usually don't make the kind of music that we're looking for.
Right.
Finding a drummer was damn near impossible. Like we
it's right in your hands. You were drummer.
No. Yeah, that's what we were, because it's like, because in the original band, since I was the drummer, it was like, okay, should we just keep that dynamic? But I was like, no, I'm tired of that. Like I wanted. This is what I'm leaning more towards now, so I want to see if I can do that.
Right.
So it's like, okay, let's find a drummer so that I don't have to worry about that side of things any longer. And I was always just like, I'll admit, even like in the old band, I was a bit of an asshole when it came to that because I love guitar pedals and all that. So like, I would be there like telling our guitarist Tommy like, yo, you should use this pedal. You should turn this knob. You should do that. And yeah, that was definitely a very just like not good thing for me to do because that's a guitarist sound. That's their thing. You don't touch that. That's their like sort of like their baby. And I think that's sort of when I started to realize that like that's probably what I want to do more. Just because I was a lot more like anal about the sound of the guitar than I was about the drums. Even though I was better at playing it, I was just better when it came to that. But back to the original question. We were trying to find a drummer and we couldn't, and so eventually we're like, you know what, let's just post it on Instagram and see what happens, just like looking for a drummer. And he stumbled upon it.
Nice.
And he hit us up and we sent him like a few of because nothing had been recorded yet, it was just demos. We sent him a few of the demos at the time. And he was like, yeah, I'm on board.
I'd like to tell the story.
Yes.
From your perspective?
From my perspective.
Yes.
Well, we
Which
get the
is-
truth out of him, you know?
He's the one that makes us look bad, but
I keep you guys grounded.
he humbles us.
So for me, I had the same problem with a couple of projects that I worked with, where I was being super picky about how I wanted the drums to sound, and it started being very frustrating. And I realized that it's just that there's things that I want to express on drums, that like if I were to go that particular, the drummers in my bands wouldn't be expressing themselves, you know, and I can't get in the way of that. And on top of that, and I got a drum set from a friend. He gave it to me because he has a relative who had a drug issue and would just constantly pawn his stuff just randomly. And he's like, you have to keep. He was going off to the military. He's like, you gotta keep the drum set. It's for you. It's for the bands. And so I got a free drum set like that. So God bless. But so things started stagnating in the bands because there was no shows, there's no growth. I'm like, okay, I want to do something different musically. Saw their ad on Instagram. I responded. And keep in mind, like I had the drum set, but I wasn't practicing on it. I wasn't playing on it. Maybe touch it like once a week.
Right.
Went over, and I'm expecting, okay, I'm gonna jam with some dudes, and we might do this a couple more times, but I don't think like a real band will come out of this. I know I've heard your demos, but like, I've done, I've played with bands who have demos, and then nothing really comes from it, especially because there was no show factor. So I was like, okay, let's see how it goes. I show up there. He's got a whole studio set up. He's got a MIDI drum set. I'm like, I didn't even bring drumsticks. I was like, maybe we'll have some sticks there. But it looks so bad. And then he's like, okay, we're going to play the songs. You remember those demos? I'm like, yeah, we're going to play those songs. I was like, oh, okay. So I barely get through them. And then he's like, okay, it sounds good. We can do this next week, right?
I mean, it's also just like, I remember him and we were looking at each other when it was happening, like, oh, because for us it was revolutionary because, specifically for me, because, like, I can imagine for him that maybe it wasn't as much of a shock, but I had never, ever played music with a different drummer.
Right.
I had, every time that I was playing guitar, it was just the guitar. So, like, to hear also a rhythm behind what I was playing, it was like, whoa, so this is what it's like to be a guitar player in a band. And it's like, I felt like it's like, okay, no longer do I have to, like, get behind the drum set, record, and then it's like, okay, now I can get up and I can play the guitar. It was like, we can all just do it at the same time.
Right.
I felt like it was just easier to get out ideas that way. And it's like, yeah, he started off in a bit of a rough place
Uh-huh.
playing wise because
Without sticks.
right. He was just going like John Bonham. And he started like I don't know how long ago. How long did you start playing?
Like a year and a half ago, start taking it like serious.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we were like, okay, let's see what we can do.
Mm-hmm.
And he was improving at a rate that I don't think either of us predicted.
Right.
It was like seriously, like impressively fast, and we were like, whoa, okay, this is like at first it's like you have your doubts. It's like, can he really keep up? And then he does keep up, and you're like, oh,
Faster than me in a lot of cases.
Really?
Yeah, and I write a lot of my stuff. Yeah, I have to relearn them.
he's the one that writes it, and then I remember it for him.
Uh-huh.
Like I remember one of our songs on the EP.
If we haven't,
It was
played
it was
I've
sit
forgotten
still.
it.
Yeah, it was Sit Still Boy.
Yeah.
And it was I remember that because I had that song just kind of lying around for a while, and I was like, yeah, maybe we should do this one. And I showed it to him, and I'm like, yeah, it's just basic chords. It's just a bunch of basic open chords. I was like, do whatever you want with it. And then he pulls out this bass riff like immediately out of nowhere. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. And like a week or two later, he comes back. I'm like, yo, can you do that again? And he's like, what? And I'm like, the thing. And I'm like, I play it for him, and I play it for him. He's like, I wrote that, and I'm like, yes.
That's hysterical. That is hysterical. So, how long have you guys all been together now since finding Luis?
Well, I think the first time he came to jam was like the weekend that Purple Finch came out. So it must have been like I remember it being like April, right? Like beginning of April.
Okay, so
So-
almost a year.
Yeah, we haven't even hit a year yet, which is crazy because I feel like we
Wait, not even a year?
No, we haven't.
It can't be true.
No, I know it's true. I know it's true. We can look through the text. I know for
Yeah,
a
that's
fact.
crazy.
Because I feel like we've just been like running around, like scrambling, trying to do so much shit. It's like it has to have been a year, but no, we just kind of.
Right.
It's a very arduous climb.
The months only get busier.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Do you guys do a lot of gigging or?
we're trying.
Yeah.
I mean, this year has been. I feel. I think the three of us feel particularly blessed in that sense because last year was impossible. Like I remember our first gig was back in June, and it was in this like dinky little warehouse.
Oh yeah, we've all been to those dinky warehouses.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
No AC.
it was
Yeah.
no AC.
No,
it
there was one fan.
There was.
and that was it. Like, the farthest away from us as possible.
He's like yay big.
And yeah, literal like smack dab middle of Miami summer.
It's probably the same place that I stood in the middle of the street. I was like watched from the middle of the street because it was that small.
I don't know, because the way we had it was
We're playing on
the door opens,
Okay.
stage on the right of the door, like immediately right.
Yeah.
So as soon as you walk in, there's a sound blast in your ear.
Oh yeah, it was insane.
I had a bunch of fun. That was
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun.
That's my daughter's band. That's their favorite gigs. These small little warehouses where you're in the middle of Miami and you're about to die
Yeah.
because the street over was just a murder, and you're just standing there. They think it's the greatest thing.
There's like a certain like energy to it. And I remember even before it being a little nervous, like and he was like, "Don't worry," because he's like the veteran of the band. He's like our mentor. He's like don't worry, man. I've played some pretty like sus shows. This looks like it won't be that bad. We walk in literally 2 seconds and he goes, "Oh yeah, definitely one of the grimiest places I've played at." And I'm like, "Oh my god."
It was fun. It was
At first you're like nervous, but then once you like the people start showing up and you realize, wow, everyone here is actually like really chill. Like they're just here to listen to the music and have fun.
That's how it is.
And you start playing and it's just like you're just in it.
Yeah.
And it's like
Have you guys played at Underground Coffee House?
yes.
Do you
That's-
also feel the floor move and everything when you're
we
playing?
didn't.
Oh, you didn't.
But
Okay.
I heard people who were in the audience
scary.
constantly talking, like they were saying, like, yeah, I got kind of scared there for a
Yeah.
minute. Like
Oh,
it was
yeah.
like, but
Yeah.
the coffee house was actually
We're gonna see it on the
probably.
news soon. Everybody crashes. I'm telling you, like, you literally like you.
I hope not. That was one of my favorites. Honestly,
Yeah, no,
like
it's a fun one, but man, I went in there. I was like, I was like, I gotta stop the show. My kid's gonna be on the bottom floor soon. It's scary.
I don't know. I've seen that place packed. I've
Oh,
seen
this
that
was
place.
packed,
Okay.
and that's why I was like,
Yeah, we were also packed
we
too,
couldn't
which
even
is
get
why
in the room. Like,
Yeah, no, once
Yeah.
it gets to that level, I'd be worried.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I feel like when there's less people, maybe you don't notice it as much. But when there's like,
That's
Yeah,
the
probably.
I don't know, there was
Yeah.
there's probably like 200 people that can fit in there.
Oh,
Probably
definitely
more.
against the fire marshal could. Definitely.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
One
Yeah.
small
Yeah.
staircase.
Oh yeah,
the
so
straight
to get
staircase
all
up.
of your gear inside,
Yeah.
it was that was
Imagine being the
painful.
drummer's mother, okay? I'm a freaking roadie. And she was like, she carries her stick bag, and then she was suddenly, oh, the drums are here. How'd they get? Because they needed to be set up in time for the show. So, what do you guys love most about being musicians?
Who wants to go first?
What do I love most about being a musician?
Why would you assume I love?
Both of you to assume.
An assumption here. Since you are in a band. Unless you're getting paid really well, I would assume you love it.
Yeah, just like on the down low, we're actually just like industry plants, just like getting paid to do this 100%.
like K-pop stars.
Oh,
Yeah, right?
stars.
Is that against our NDA?
R&DA. I don't know.
Cut this out.
You're gonna cut this out.
No, but unironically, I think it's got to be the initial like rush when you write the piece
Okay.
that's in your head for
That you'll forget.
however long.
That you'll forget the next one.
Yeah, sometimes there's like I keep on writing. Like I have a book with me at all times, just in case. Like I'm walking down the street one day, and then like a little thing comes
Right.
into my mind, and I can't remember it for the
That's
life.
smart.
But a lot of the times when I do come up with those things, like it's a bit hard to forget until you do write it, and then like you don't have to remember it, I guess.
Right.
But I just love it when I could go back and listen to it because we recorded it. But it is a pain recording. It is.
It is.
Sometimes.
It is.
Yeah, I talked to a guy the other day that he just released a new song, and it. I don't know if you guys heard of Super Bowl,
Yeah.
but I was talking with Alex, and his new song Gasoline's incredible. But he said he walked around that and the intro beat years in his head. So yeah, I was
It's
like,
great to finally get it out.
yeah.
Especially if you're a perfectionist.
Yeah.
That is
You
one
can't
of those.
release it until
Right.
That is one of those things that does that I do love a lot. It's just like I know one of the songs that's gonna come out in the album that's called Better Day. That one I wrote that in summer of 2019,
Okay.
and it's like I can't even remember writing it anymore. It was so long ago. It's like wow, it's just crazy that like something can stick around for so long, and then you finally get to see it like come to fruition.
Right.
It's like I've had this idea, I've had these like demos lying around, like 5 different versions of it, and now finally this is it.
Right.
But if I had to pinpoint like the one thing that I love the most about music is just how much it can, how close it can get to an emotion that you've either felt before or are currently feeling.
Right.
Whether that is lyrically or musically.
Right.
Because sometimes, honestly, I just kind of shut my brain to the lyrics or to the music. And it's like, sometimes the lyrics have nothing to do with it, but the music makes me feel something very specific, and that's what keeps me going back to that song. Or the lyrics make me feel something very specific, so that's what keeps me going back to that song, instead of just like the overall message. And then there's those that are like both combined, the lyrics and the music are just exactly what you need. And whether that is listening to it and sometimes just like singing it or playing it, it's like, I don't know, there's like a certain sense of like completion.
Right.
Of, I've done something that produces some sort of emotion that's
Right.
fulfilling in some way.
Right.
I'd have to go with my access to flow, which is it's a mental state. I'm not sure. Are you familiar with that?
No.
I don't remember what it stands for, but but a flow state is, like being in the flow. I know, but it's in a sense when you take on a very challenging activity and you have to think your way out, right? And usually when you have like a singular problem, that's not very time specific. You can look at it, you can have an insight, go have an aha moment, you solve problem.
Right.
But then, say you do this constantly, for a series of 10 seconds, or a series of 5 seconds, or a series of 1 second, and then you get to literally continuous aha moment. That's a flow state. And usually this happens with like all types of very like challenging and versatile activities. There's got to be activities where you're getting real time correction.
Okay.
So like you know exactly when you mess up.
Right.
Like it can't be like a normal test. You can't go into flow state normal test unless you can see every single problem you're getting right, every single one you're getting wrong,
Right.
and you can adjust to that. So guys, so very typical one is like rock climbing.
Okay.
Of course, there's music, there's chess, there's I've seen people have this for calculus, even just like when they get into like, oh, this starts crossing out, this starts crossing out, this
Right,
starts
right.
crossing out, and then get that fountain of aha moment. And
Right.
I now actually it really enjoy playing drums because I can achieve that flow state.
Right.
Where when I'm thinking about strategically and what is my muscle memory is lining up perfectly.
Right.
That's also another thing. It's got to have some level of like you have trained up to that skill set. You can't go into flow state on something you've tried on the first day.
Right.
So it's got to have some muscle memory to it. So if your muscle memory is acting faster than how you're thinking, you get bored.
Right.
Too easy.
Right.
Your muscle memory can't catch up. It's too difficult.
Right.
You can't. But once you get that balance, you reach that flow state. There's something very crazy that happens where you lose that sense of self.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard of that before.
I'm a really big psychology nerd, and I've always thought of drumming and psychology to go hand in hand with what's my general interest in it, which is the idea of like I can get on drums, hit stuff, and not think,
Right.
and just be in the zone. And I find that very, very therapeutic.
Yeah, no, and the way you explained it to me makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and of course the idea that I can record an album and I can sit home.
Yeah.
And I can be like, this is a good album.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with whether or not I recorded it or I'm on it. I'm like, this is the type of music I like.
Right, exactly. Yep.
I think another one of my favorite aspects of the band, though, is like seeing him in the flow state live. Yeah,
Well, seeing musicians in flow state live.
being immersed in the flow state.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The live aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a certain point you get to where you can just like we can just look at each other and tell, oh, he's not feeling it today, oh, he's feeling it today.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's impressive just like how when you look at one of your band members and you're like, oh, he's feeling it, it's almost like you're getting guilt trips. You're like, he's feeling it, that means I should be feeling it too.
Right.
And then you start getting into it too, and it's
Right.
like you start like getting
Kinda
like
feed off each
interlocked.
other. Yeah.
And the energy just like grows bigger and bigger. It's like, and I feel like those are the moments that, in terms of playing live, make it the most satisfying.
Right.
Just like, okay, we played the first song. That was pretty good. Oh, the second song, that was even better. Oh, the third song was even better. And so just the energy keeps on climbing and climbing until you eventually just burn out and crash and like, okay, we're done for today.
Right.
Yeah.
So tell me a story behind one of your songs.
Which one are we going to go with?
I don't know which song which one is your favorite? Actually, I'm curious.
My favorite of the songs.
It could be even like an unreleased one. You can say a name.
I like same old. That's really not how it was written.
Same old fault.
Same old fold.
Yeah, I don't know how it was written.
That one's pretty old. It was written like, I think that I definitely know that while I was writing it, I had something in mind in terms of just like fake friends and friendships.
Okay.
And all of that. And that's why it's just like, in some shows, before the song starts, I just kind of like say it like that, like, this one's about fake friends, and just like leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it also just makes it more kind of like, I guess, it's kind of funny in a way, I don't know, it's like, yeah, here's a song about fake friends, and then you just start playing this heavy, distorted bass riff.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. I can't say that I really remember a lot of what that song was written about.
Mhm.
I think it just kind of it was just an amalgamation of all the frustrations I guess I'd been feeling
Right.
at the time. Because I do remember, like, for some reason, I remember like 4 other songs that I was also working on at the same time as this song. And I feel like that one is just like the amalgamation of all that.
Mhm.
And I feel like that happens sometimes where it's like you're trying to write a specific song, and then you have like 5 different songs that are sort of like that, you know, lyrically, but musically they're completely different. And then you just kind of hit like the one,
Right.
where it's like, okay, this is the version that I want to go with.
Right.
And it's completely different. It's literally a different song from the other ones, but it just kind of fits. But in terms of my favorite, I think just out of the fact that this is the one that people tend to enjoy most live is one that came out on our EP, and it's called Give Me a Minute. And that one's just, it's like a slow sort of ballad type deal.
And what's that about?
That one is about, it's about a girl,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about like just
It's a 6
You're-
crooner.
you're into her, and she's into you, but you're not really sure if it's like that, and you're not sure if it's a good idea, and you start thinking to yourself, man, maybe I shouldn't keep just like hanging on like this, because it's not really fair to the both of us to just like kind of keep that going. But it's like I still feel like I need to think about it. It's
Right.
like, should I
Just give me a minute.
just give me a minute. It's really sad to have written a song where the name of it is such a common phrase, because now the amount of people that make jokes about it, like,
Right.
it's a phrase that I genuinely, unironically say all the time.
Right,
I'll be
right.
like somebody tells me, "Oh, can you do this for me?" I'll be like, "Yeah, give me a minute," and they'll just like be like, "Ah." And yeah, I haven't heard that joke like 50 million times.
And I wonder how. I can just imagine David Gilmour just being like, "You got the time."
You got the time. Oh Jesus.
So let me ask you, if you had the opportunity to open up for one musician or band, who would it be?
I think I know their answer.
And there's a lot. I don't know. I'm also assessing like which one I'm gonna not be intimidated by. It's a very, very important factor because like I'd love to open up for Herbie Hancock, but like, I don't know. You think King Gizzard?
I knew you were gonna say King Gizzard. I was thinking in my head, I know what they're gonna say.
but,
It's King
like,
Gizzard.
I don't even want to.
I've never heard of them. I have to.
They are the
Oh.
best thing to ever come out of Australia.
They're a,
All right, King Gizzard.
and
Yes.
the Lizard Wizard.
King Gizzard
So
and the
get
Lizard
this.
It's a really weird name.
They're finally coming here.
They're progressive rock,
In June.
Okay.
but they're really danceable and punky.
Psychedelic.
Okay. Is it? Am I spelling this correctly? King Gizzard.
Yes.
Okay.
And,
And the Lizard Wizard.
Well, if I get that far,
Yeah.
No, it'll
Okay.
autofill.
Yeah.
Because it's a strange
They
name.
are an insanely committed band. and
Yeah.
I think that's really what got me into like. It really got me thinking like anyone can make art and succeed. They released in 2017 or 2018. They released 4 albums in a row.
Okay.
No, 5. 5
Wow.
albums that year.
In one
5
year.
albums
Yeah.
that year. 5
So
albums.
How
that
many
was
songs
that was
on each
their goal.
album?
It was like a
12,
good 48.
Holy crap.
Keep in mind these are
They're
concept,
insane.
these are connected concept albums.
Yeah.
All different genres.
Oh, wow.
Like they are so ahead
And
of
they also they also recorded certain albums on their iPhones. Just
You
like
got to be kidding me.
no, yeah, and it sounds good.
No, they got all types of style. Like
Yeah, they
so,
made their own record label.
so every single like
Oh, yeah, they
subgenre
made their own
of
record label, too.
psychedelic rock you can think of, they have done a version of that.
Yeah.
So they got their folk rock album, they got their heavy metal album, they got their
Acoustic.
like they got their
That's incredible.
microtonal Middle Eastern album.
Micro.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, it's crazy.
Wow.
Amazing.
they're fantastic.
That's that's very talented. Like if you can pull off every single genre like that, like
Also, they got 2 drummers, which is kind of nuts. I have no idea how they could.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
No.
I mean, they did it for some time. Then they had the
Yeah.
2 drummers. Then I guess not.
There used to be a 7-piece, and now there's a
Yeah.
there's a 6-piece.
I think that probably also definitely contributes to the level of their output. Just having so many members in the band that can
Yeah.
creatively
Right.
put stuff into that.
that's true. That's
Yeah.
very true. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, If I had to pick a band to open for, purely because it's the band that I'm currently obsessed with, it's a band called Foals. They're from England, and
I'd be so intimidated. Oh my god.
I would be intimidated too, just because like they're just one of those bands that are like incredibly tight live. Like if you watch their live performances, it's insane. It's insane. Yeah, no, it's crazy. And then there's certain songs that they change it up from the album completely, and it sounds even better.
Right.
They have like 5 members. Well, had 5 members. Some of them have left, but they started off. What I think, like, what I admire most about them is just the fact that it's similar to King Gizzard. It's just the amount of genres that they can tap into, because they started off doing this sort of like block party, Good Shoes type of like math rock. That's not really math rock. It's more on the like rock and pop side, but it's got that like sort of like jingly guitars, very high up on the neck type of deal, sort of very intricate drum patterns or whatever. That was their first album, and it was very energetic, and it was like dance grooves and all that. And then the second album is like a completely 180-degree turn, where they're doing like very just like spacey and vibey synth stuff, that like a lot of reverb and delay, just like very big soundscapes. And they have like a literal just like dance rock album, like one that's like pretty heavy, and they just kind of do a little bit of everything. And I think I admire that a lot. How they can not only do that, but they can pull it off live too.
Right.
Like you see them, you can tell which song is from which album, from which era, from which year, just because like it's crazy how they switch like immediately. It's like, okay, now we're gonna do a song that's completely different, and they just do it perfectly fine.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That is admirable, though.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm just the roadie. I've never played an instrument. The recorder, I was forced to play the recorder in 5th grade. But
Me
other
too.
than that, like, I wouldn't even know how to. I would never even attempt it ever. I can't multitask. Like, I can't like talk and walk at the same time. Like, I could just not imagine like having to like move all my fingers at the same time to play a guitar. Or
I mean, that's also what I went through.
Really?
Like, yeah, I think I said that earlier on. I was a kid. I used to be like, how do people do this? Like,
Right.
I would just watch it or hear it, like listen to it, and I'd be like, I never even considered a musician as a career, just because I was like that's just like too big brain for me. That's too high level intellect. And it's just kind of like baby steps. Like you start off just thinking like, yeah, I'm just doing this. Like, I'm just playing this riff, and it's kind of fun. And it's like, oh, now I'm playing the whole song. Now I'm playing multiple songs. Now I'm playing multiple instruments.
I'm a guitarist now.
Yeah, it's like now I'm writing songs, and it's like, oh, maybe I actually can do this.
Right.
But yeah, it's weird how it just kind of starts out as this, like, not even a pipe dream. It's just like you don't even consider it. You're just like, yeah, this is something cool.
Yeah. Do you guys do covers?
Not really. We did it on our first show.
Yeah.
We did I Want to Be Adored by the Stone Roses.
Okay.
We used to do a lot in it.
Our old band was a cover band. So, yeah, it was just something that we did a lot, but then...
I notoriously hate covers.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, see, that's interesting.
Well,
You're the first person that's told me that, because I do ask that question a lot, especially bands like you that have a lot of their own original stuff out.
I'm not a fan.
I think there's 2 things. It's just that I used to play like cover bands.
Right.
And I used to do that for a couple of years, and I got very tired of it. And me and my bandmate at the time that quit on the same night on that cover band, we got really drunk. We celebrated. We were like, no more covers. We chanted that in the freaking parking lot right after the gig, because we were just so done. It wasn't even like the band's fault. It was mostly the place we were playing covers at. The manager was like getting super uber specific about which covers, what style. Like, it's
Where was
like
this playing at?
this was like some bar in near like Margate, Dania Beach area.
Okay.
I don't really remember what it's called. This was like 3 years ago or something.
It's probably closed down now.
Oh no, yeah, it probably is.
I mean,
No, just for the sake of the employees, I'm like, oh Jesus, I hope they're free now. And because the manager was awful. But yeah, so from that, and also the idea of like a lot of what I like to do is the creative process. I always feel like in the age of streaming and headphones and like and having data anywhere, why would you want to play someone else's music?
That's true.
I mean, unless you
That is such a good point.
unless you because now when you present a cover, you got to think is like, okay, I either got to do this as good as say like a band like Zeppelin or Black Sabbath, or I have to change it enough that it's recognizable.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I also, I will say I don't despise doing covers nearly as much as Luis, but I think I've over time just, like, grown sort of disenchanted with it just because, it's fun to do sort of, like, in your, just, like, rehearsal room.
Right.
I feel like what that does is it helps us focus more on the live aspect of it and like the getting tighter type of thing. But when you're playing it live, it's like if you're playing a cover, unless everybody knows it, it's sort of like why bother? Because especially since our goal is to promote ourselves as like a commercial band that is like trying to sell our own music. It's like why would we bring in somebody else's music that has no place with ours in terms of style or whatever, even if we like it a lot, even if we like playing it. It's just, especially if the people don't know it, it's just like, there's been circumstances, for example, like Luis brought up a show recently that we could do that's like 2 hours long. At that point, you start considering it's like, okay, we do not, our entire discography is not 2 hours long. We should probably bring in some covers just to like pad out the time, and also because it's an environment where it's like people aren't there to watch our music. Like, what was it? It was like a little shopping area.
It's like a marketplace.
So,
the idea is that since it's no one's paying tickets to come see us, we don't have to. We don't have the responsibility of giving them Telekon.
It's at that point it's more about the experience of like getting out there. Getting out there, like playing more shows and just like, which we've been trying to do a lot. January was like an insane month for us.
Good.
But
our biggest by far.
Yeah, just because last year it was especially with all the COVID stuff and like from our first gig in June, we had like our second gig was like end of August. And first one was beginning of June, end of August was like super spread. Like the entirety of that summer break we didn't, which was kind of good for us in a sense because we were still working on the album, and that gave us time to just like get ahead on that. But in terms of live playing, we weren't doing anything, and we would do one gig per month if we were lucky. And January just kind of came in, and all of a sudden, I think we did like 4 gigs.
Nice.
Yeah, we did like 4 gigs in 1 month, and that was like I'm destroyed right now. But it was insane. We'd never done anything like that, and we're trying to keep up that momentum, but apart from like being tired and whatever, because like I'll fight through that. It's also just hard to find gigs nowadays, especially like with the pandemic and all that, and just having a lack of venues that are specifically made for music. It's usually like you're playing at a bar where people are going to drink,
and that's when they want the covers.
And there just so happens to be a band there playing music. Looky there. But we have talked about that sort of thing, like trying to find a way to like bring more venues, I guess, out into this scene, and just like finding ways to make more local shows, make more of a local scene where people are going. It's like, I don't know what bands are playing tonight. I'm just going to see whatever it is, and if I like it, I like it. But I'm there for the music. That's what I'm there for. Not I'm there to get a drink. I'm there to do this. I'm there to do that. It's like, no, the music is the important.
That's where I've found a lot of my favorite local bands. So is going to places and they're playing their own music. And this is a huge argument that I would have in defense of like my kids' band. One of the parents in the band always wanted them to play covers, and their argument was, we don't want to be a cover band. Like you're not going to get any jobs. You're not going to, and it's like, well, then we won't get them. That's it. We won't play then. If they're they're gonna, want us to play. So like, he would always be like, well, they're not coming to see a Saving Harold show, and they're like, they're not paying to see a show. We're being hired by the establishment, and it was a big thing. But so I totally get exactly what you're saying and I always backed up the kids because it's like, I'm not in the band. That's what the kids want, and that's what they want. It's not anything to do with me.
Yeah,
I would get the gigs for them, and that's it.
The argument I made one time is, if I told you I wanted to be a writer, would you tell me rewrite the entirety of Great Gatsby right now?
Yeah,
Of course, that's absurd. No.
Right.
Okay, if you asked me to be a filmmaker, would you ask me to recreate The Shining?
No. Yeah.
Well, why would you ask me to play?
Exactly.
Right?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I've always just used covers as an exercise. Like I would even record covers. Like I think it's like on my Instagram. This I just re-recorded an entire song and I just posted it because I was proud of it.
Right,
but I've
right.
done more of those that I didn't post just because it's I view it as a way to like exercise your chops, as in like especially production chops in that case. But then like we said earlier, just like playing live. That's what we really did covers in the beginning for, which we didn't even do that many. I think we did like 2. Like we would do like Joy Division, Stone Roses type stuff, and just. But
that's just like warm up stuff.
Yeah, that's just like warm ups to just like get
Yeah.
together, and then but what you were saying really reminds me of there's this new album that came out a couple days ago that I've been listening to. It's by a band called the Yard Acts.
Okay.
They're from England, and they've got this like post-punk style where the music is just like a little punky, and the singer is never really singing, he's just kind of talking. It almost feels like rap in a way sometimes. It's a very specific and strange style of music, but the lyrics are really what's important. And the title track of the album, which is called The Overload, the second verse, the entirety of the second verse, it's like he's like talking in the perspective of like sort of like, I guess, like a band manager or somebody who's booking the gigs. It's kind of like Have a Cigar by Pink Floyd, where it's like talking in the other perspective, and he's like saying like, oh yeah, like you better like do the covers and only play these specific covers because otherwise like you're not gonna get anywhere. You kick that singer out, that singer's no good. He'll lead you to bad places or whatever, and it's just like it's just kind of funny. Like they kind of poke fun at the whole thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, covers aren't bad. It's just
No, I mean, they get your name out there, but
yeah.
there comes a time where you as a band decide which route you want to go.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to do, I don't think that you should be forced to do them. That's just...
Yeah, and I feel like
it's fun every so often. Like I said, my kids' band, every so often they would like throw a cover, but it's almost like an unknown cover.
Yeah.
Like, where
Yeah.
people are like, oh, was that Saving Harold? Was that... They're questioning it, like, was that their song? Was that an original, or is that...
Yeah, and I think there's certain bands that also, which is what happened to us initially, get caught in this sort of like what I would call like a cover purgatory. Because yeah, like with our initial band, the one that Michael and I were in,
We were stuck.
we did 2 shows. We did 2 shows where we did all covers.
Right.
But like, you know, we were like machines at the time, or as close to machines as 15-year-old kids can get, because we were up there playing like 20 songs or something. Like,
Oh yeah.
we
like,
played a lot.
difficult stuff.
Yeah, we played a lot, and it was like, yeah, we were doing well in the live department, but then it's like when we started trying to write, we realized like, oh wow,
We're lacking.
it's not even necessarily that it's harder, it's like, it's just a different world.
Yeah.
It's a different deal. Like now I'm having to interact with these people in a way that I have not interacted before. It's
Right.
always been, we're interacting in a sort of communal, ritualistic way of playing music and doing it over and over, and it's just like getting it right. But this is different. This is creativity. This is something that's a lot more personal, where if you step on the wrong toes, you can hurt people's feelings.
Right, yeah.
And you can even get your own feelings hurt because you'll be like, I think this is a really good idea. And people will be like, no, that's trash. What are you
Right,
talking
right.
about? And we never got out of that. We never got out of that purgatory until he was no longer in the band. And it was just me and the guitarist left in the band. And eventually it was just a realization of like, we don't click in that way.
Right.
There's just a lot that goes into it.
And before I left, like I tried clicking with the guitarist in the sense of writing, and I feel like you tried to click in with us, but the 2 of us weren't even clicked in to begin with. So
But it always felt, and I always felt like you guys were a little more clicked in than I was. I always felt like kind of like the odd man out.
But we weren't
And-
getting anywhere writing. 'Cause
I don't even remember that
together
much,
we didn't have anything worth writing.
Right.
Yeah, we didn't have a story to tell.
And I think it's also just
That's
the
a good
fact
point,
that we're like 15, 16
Yeah.
years old. Like you don't
Not much.
you can't really expect yourself to be writing really great stuff at that age. It's like the one song that I wrote when I was 15 that I considered to be good is one song
Right.
out of the like millions that I was writing at the
Right.
time. Obviously, later on they start as you practice it more, it starts to come in more naturally. But like, yeah, initially like it was just not a good combination of things.
Right.
And so we were just kind of left in that cover purgatory.
Right.
I remember we even discussed, we had one song that we had finished. It was called Rock Slide.
And I helped
And-
write.
And he absolutely despised that song. So we were like, okay,
Who? Me?
you,
Yes,
yeah.
I did.
And we were like, we should play it live at our next show. Just to show the people that go like, oh yeah, we do have originals.
Right.
It's not just all these covers.
Yeah.
But we ended up not playing it just because we didn't even like the song. We were like, why are we even playing this? This is not a good song. This is just...
You guys,
None of the three of us liked it. We were just like,
you guys are
It was just for the sake
crybabies.
of having an original.
All right, I played my own bad songs.
zero shame. I must do it.
Sorry, I'd like to apologize. If I'm a punk kid, so to hear that, I'm like, listen, you play it anyway. Even if they don't like it, even if no one in the room likes it, you play it.
Shove it down their throats, goddammit. Jesus.
That is so funny. So if it wasn't for music, what do you think you guys would be doing today?
That's some other form of art.
Yeah.
I feel
Acting.
like, yeah, you'd
Yeah,
be
acting.
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 Or
I go to high school for like a magnet for acting. So like
Nice.
I definitely probably would have stuck with that. I came to the realization that I don't like it that much. I like music more.
Right.
But I think if I didn't have music, I would have probably still been with that.
But it kind of goes hand in hand. I help you out, stage presence, everything
A lot,
like that.
yeah.
So yeah.
I used to paint.
Oh,
I won an award for writing.
nice.
So maybe I was going to go to college for like journalism and just try to fit in lyricism somewhere
Right.
with that
That's
writing stuff.
Okay.
I've considered a lot of options.
He's like, this is my moment. I've been waiting for this.
What'd you call it? Well, I already do a good amount of writing
Okay.
because I write. It's like a cross between like a short story and a poem.
Okay.
Because it's a short story in the sense that it's a story, it's written out, but it's a poem in the sense that it's written kind of funny. It doesn't really rhyme, but it's like I do it short enough that you can put it on 1 or 2 pages,
Okay.
and that's what I usually do.
interesting.
Working on some other writing right now that's could develop into a novel, hopefully, and what else? I think if it wasn't for music, I would dedicate myself to learning a bunch more about psychology, neuroscience.
Oh, okay.
Just because I already do that right now, and I feel like I feel like music is an auxiliary of that.
Right.
Of like it's all the one shared interest is brain science from
Yeah.
that writing, from that
Yeah.
drumming, from that exercise and meditation, and then
That's very
studying
true,
that.
though.
Yeah.
That's very true. Like I talk to so many people that, like, well, what got you into doing your own music stuff? And they would say, well, it's just expressing my feelings and getting them out, and like being able to therapeutic, like a therapeutic type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even really aware of
Yeah,
this. I enjoyed playing music, and then I came across the work of Nietzsche, and he's pretty much, I like my brain science, I like my music, they were separate, and Nietzsche comes along, and he's a philosopher that hates other philosophers for being too logical.
I think my daughter's talked about him.
Yeah, because he's the anti-philosopher. He's also the anti-Christian philosopher.
Okay.
And but also the anti-atheist philosopher, if that makes sense.
Interesting. So like an agnostic one.
Yeah, because he's like, it's foolish to take up organized religion, but it's absolutely just as foolish to take up atheism.
Right.
And also being aware that the vast majority of our decisions are made based on what we know about them, but how we feel about them.
Right.
You know, and that so when you talk about when people talk about taking care of themselves, you know, therapy wise, one of those therapies has to be a creative outlet. At least in my opinion, it's very, very important.
I think you're right with that.
And his way was through writing. He actually wanted to become a musician and regretted that he didn't practice enough. Yeah, but I wish I wrote as much as Nietzsche. So there's that.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I'd just take up writing.
That's interesting. I think that between Michael and Lewis, you guys are my daughter more. Like, you guys, there's so many things about you and so many things about you that remind me of my daughter. Just needed to put it out there. And when she watches this, she's going to agree with me. She will. So, okay. Other than this King Gizzard, who are your biggest musical inspirations?
I feel like we should go in a row because the three of us tend to have like different inspirations, I guess.
Okay.
As a musician, I'm inspired to take up the role that Roger Waters did in a less poisonous way.
Okay.
I feel like I definitely cannot get as poisonous as that man, but
It'd be hard.
it's also going to be hard to be as brilliant as he is. So,
Yeah,
at his most brilliant. I don't know about
because his poison is also his genius.
Yes.
Yeah,
In a weird
true.
way.
It's poison. It's poison.
I've been going through like a Pink Floyd rabbit hole recently, just for sure. Just because, also like
The drummer.
like I mentioned that I do like acting in school, and at the end of our senior year they have us do this thing called the one person show, where you take a real person and you're supposed to make sort of like I guess like some sort of presentation as them, like you are pretending to be them basically. And everyone just sort of chose people that they either found interesting or that they looked up to or that they didn't like at all, just to sort of like poke fun of that.
Right.
And I chose Sid Barrett just because I just found that story very, very interesting. And I think Wish You Were Here is definitely my favorite Pink Floyd album. And just like the whole like mythology, it's almost romanticized in a way, everything that surrounds it, like knowing the context behind it, I think is definitely something that made it very interesting. Just everything about how like, oh yeah, like Sid Barrett showed up in the middle of them recording one of the songs and whatever, and he was like unrecognizable, and the song was about him, and it was like all this crazy stuff. But yeah, Pink Floyd is definitely, it was something that took me a while to sort of warm up to.
Right.
Because I remember he was always really into Pink Floyd, and so was the other person that was in the band with us, in the old band. And they talked about it all the time, and I just didn't see the appeal, because at the time I was just like, I was in my drummer phase, so I was like, Stuart Copeland, all the way, The Police, that's the best thing to have ever existed, there's nothing else in this universe. and I don't know, I guess I just, eventually, I remember one day just like sitting down on my way to school and listening to Dark Side of the Moon and being like, I can see why this attracted them so much, because there's a lot of things that hit very close to home, where it's like, yeah, like this feels real. This feels like something that somebody sat down and said, I'm going to write about everything that I'm thinking about.
Right.
Just like the whole album, it's just like the story of life, human life, and the human condition. And it feels like Roger just like sat down and was like, this is what I'm going to write about. I want to write about everything.
The cornerstones of
Just
reality.
like, yes, just everything. And somehow he managed to package that everything very concisely in a very good way into 45 minutes into just this album that just got everything out there. And only the essentials. But I don't know, it was interesting.
One of the many reasons why Dark Side of the Moon is that captivating. It talked about everything.
Right.
Yeah.
For me, I actually had when I was living in an apartment off campus, I had a five pictures of the musical guides that I had. Which was like a cutout of like a picture that I printed out. But David Bowie,
Okay.
for always being
Good one.
true to himself.
Yeah.
Always, like never caring about what anyone thought about his art and what thought about him
Yeah.
or his opinions, and always being like, you know, even in my dying breath, he made an album, you know? He instead of saying, I'm going to extend my life 5 more years because I'm fighting off cancer, I'd rather make an album.
Right.
You know, that's the level of dedication to the art that I felt really inspired by.
Right.
There's Jimi Hendrix,
Oh yeah.
who he inspires me to see all of the sound making capabilities of all the equipment I have. Thinking beyond notes, thinking like, you know, audible experience, and thinking beyond genre, and even more so, next one, Zappa, thinking beyond genre, beyond sound, always working hard, always and always never letting himself be defined in a category. Then Luis of Telekon, he's an Argentine. His evolution is very weird because he starts off from a Bob Dylan folk kind of vibe, and he slowly transforms into a Zappa sort of thing.
Okay.
In his course, so he goes from folk rock to blues rock to jazz rock to prog rock over his span, and like his evolution of never staying in genre, and also his firm commitment to not letting himself be influenced by just rock music.
Right.
He hated other rock musicians that'd be like, "Oh, I'm influenced by these 3 bands that I sound exactly like."
Right.
Whenever Luis of Telekon was asked who his influences, he'd say poets, he'd say playwrights, he'd say authors, because he's like, all I listen to is flamenco, tango, and read, and I don't care about what other rock bands are doing.
Right.
And then the last one is Omar Rodriguez Lopez, who has a discography of over 120 albums.
Wow.
He is a beast.
How old is he?
He's like 40 now.
Wow.
No, he is a beast. Like King Gizzard is something, but Omar Rodriguez Lopez released 12 albums in a year.
Oh my
At one
god.
point.
Buckethead though.
And no, Buckethead. But Omar, what his thing is, he does experimental rock. But one thing that actually he really inspired me when I was starting to go to college for music was to appreciate world music and Latin rock. And like I grew up in an Argentine household, so I didn't really listen to a lot of like typical Hispanic music. You know, just mainly like classic rock. That's really what's big in Argentina.
Same here, yeah.
Right.
It's not like salsa or tango or anything like that. Well, tango of course, but like that's not what my parents listen to.
Right.
But then his big thing is making like progressive rock with a lot of Latin influences, because he's a Puerto Rican Mexican.
Okay.
And so are most of his bandmates, and it really shows in their music. And not only made me appreciate that, but also other parts of Hispanic culture, which he borrows a lot from. So he's very inspired by the surrealist movement with like Dali and Luis Buñuel and all those guys. And it made me fully appreciate like the Hispanic culture that I wasn't paying attention to, because I'm like, oh, that's not really exotic to me. But I had no idea. Like, I didn't know anything about Luis Buñuel, Dali, salsa music, or Don Quixote, or other writers like that. And so those 5 guys were on my in the mirror in the morning. I'd say hi to them every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys are so interesting. You really are. But I will say that the whole Latin rock thing, like, I'm purebred Irish girl.
Yeah.
So I know the curse words in Spanish, and that's about it. But my daughter was in a cover band, like, when she was like 13, and the singer was Latin, and they did this one Latin rock song, and I honestly, I'm going to find out the name of it. I can't remember. I could sing it in my own language for you. It was probably the wrong words and everything. But it was my favorite song they did, because she was Latin, and it has a certain sound. You don't even have to understand the words to actually feel what they're putting through. Like, and she did so good. And I actually watched the original band, the real people, and I thought she did it better. I don't know. It was a guy singer, but I don't know if it was because, like, it was a whole other side of her that I would see because she was back to her roots of like, but it's great. Yeah. Like I'm going to find out the name before you guys leave and let you know who it is.
All right, for sure.
Yeah. I can't remember it at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So as far as the local scene, I know you guys did 4 gigs this past month. Are you guys super involved in the local scene, or are you just getting involved, or how do you feel about it?
We're always trying to immerse ourselves more and more.
That is something we're working on now.
Well, you're in Aventura. You're in Plantation. So, like, do you feel like you're more Broward or Dade? Like,
We just feel like we have a lot more ground to cover.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know because, I mean, like, our biggest show in terms of attendance was in Fort Lauderdale.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, a lot of our emptiest shows have also been in Fort Lauderdale.
Right.
And I think there's a bigger amount of venues
Mm-hmm.
up north compared to down south.
Mhm.
But, yeah, I don't know. It's like, I guess it just sort of makes it feel like our audience is a little more spread apart,
Right.
which I guess can kind of be an issue because it's like, okay, our show today is in Wynwood. So we know that these people are going to show up and these people are not because
Right.
it's too far from them.
Right.
And that's kind of like a thing that we've grown to predict, unless, like, there's always, like, the new people, the new fans that you're like, oh, I've never seen you before.
Right.
But those people are obviously not easy to predict. But I think just getting more involved in the local scene is something we're trying to work on.
Right.
Just because we're in Aventura, I feel like we're a little isolated because there's not really almost any bands in Aventura. I can think of one band that's in Aventura.
There's not room for
And-
much over there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a small place and there's no place to play live in
Right.
that entire city, and it's just
You
kind
have
of
to travel.
yeah, and it kind of causes a bit of an issue there, but it does make it easier having someone on board with us who has been playing with bands for a while and who knows a lot of the people that are in these bands and all that. But I feel like the easiest way for us to get involved is going to watch shows.
Yep, it is.
And then also just like playing shows with other people,
With other bands.
Other bands. It's really just and then it's like, because it's just kind of like the Miami thing where it's like you have a band and then there's like one leader for that band and the other 3 members of that band all have like 2 other bands that they're in.
Yeah.
So it's like you play with one band and then you have an in with like a couple other bands because now one of the members of that band knows you.
Yeah.
And you just kind of start spreading out like that. I remember it was like a weird moment for me when we played a gig with the Floridians in TN Poets in November.
Yeah.
And Ian is such a homie. And we got...
Shouts out to Floridian.
Yes.
Shouts out to Soft Cricket.
Yes.
The
And
boy
then-
Ian.
And then, like,
Yes.
what happened is, like, you definitely knew him from before, but I right?
So I saw Ian's 2 bands for the first time at Las Rosas.
Wow.
About like a month before that show.
Really?
A month or 2 months after. I just distinctly remember his band's being pretty good. I remember that show being really good. This was the Creature Cage. No, this was the Mold. The Creature Cage and Mold release.
Wow.
Las Rosas.
That sounds big.
We wanted to go, but only over 21.
Yep.
So we weren't allowed.
Yeah.
No, but we got to know him and all that, and then it's like a couple months later, like somebody, it was Isaac Polar from the Plastic Eyes. He posted this, just like this band from Miami called Soft Cricket. He posted a song called Mrs. Blue. And I heard that little preview. I was like, "Oh, that's pretty good." And then I listened to the whole song. I was like, "I love this so much."
Oh yeah.
So I hit up the guy because we were trying to set up another gig. So I hit up that band, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I know you guys." And I'm like, "You doing?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm the guitarist for Floridian." And I'm like, "Oh, well, would you look at that?" And it's funny how like everything just, you start to realize it's kind of a small world. There's a lot of bands,
But it's
and it
such a
feels
tight,
intimidating.
small thing. Yeah.
But then you start to realize how much of a smaller circle it actually
It
is. It's like the same thing with like Creature Cage, where they have like, I think it's Josh, the singer, along with the bassist Will, they're in like another a band called the Hats.
And then the
And it's-
keyboard's got another.
And then, then the keyboard is
Wait, hold on. That Josh plays bass in.
No, the drummer
The drummer also
has like 5 different
Well,
bands.
that's like a thing with
There's
drummers.
5 bands that makes up 100 bands.
Yeah, no, and it's like it all starts to connect and all that, and it's
Sister groups.
it's interesting. And then you have us, which is like him and I. We're only in this band, but Luis is also in Corazón Rabioso,
Right.
and in
Shouts out.
to the
Corazón
legendary
Rabioso.
Corazón Rabioso, and Carnival Barker and whatnot, and it's it all just kind of interconnects.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. Like Creature Cage, they're going to be here. Like,
You got space?
I know. Well, your next band, I'm going to have to set up some little pillows on the floor to sit on. Yeah, we'll figure it out. All right, so we're going to start my next part, which is you can tell Mom anything. Okay, so I'm going to ask you some questions here. It's not going to get creepy. It's just going to get to know you guys a little bit better. So, I'll go to Michael. What is the funniest thing that's ever happened to you while on stage?
Okay, so I walked away from my amp.
Oh, everybody has this story. Was it plugged in?
It was plugged in.
Yep, everybody has that story.
It was like right before my
Twice.
You didn't
same
learn
song?
the first time.
No, in different shows.
solo. Oh, different shows.
Oh, God.
No, it was. I think I remember one of them being during Stay Forever at TN Poets.
You know what's funny? We learned the trick to put the cable around your strap so that doesn't happen. I've never done that.
No. What that helps is if you step on your cable.
Oh,
because if
okay.
you walk away from your amp,
So
the
maybe I
cable's
should do
gonna
that.
come out anyway.
Okay, so
Or get a wireless one.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sets you back a little. But I've been actually thinking about that because I like I said I like to work with pedals.
Yep,
that's-
solo.
That's what the guitarist and the bassist in my daughter's band would do, because they would have the wireless ones, or they have them, and they would just like take a tour around the whole damn place.
Yeah, while you're playing.
We're like, where did Nick go?
Yeah, it's like I'd love to do that. It's also the thing is like I got like a sizable pedal board because I just like to mess around with effects, and that's a lot of cables, a lot of things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
On the subject of that, something that went wrong once on stage was there was this cable that was being a little faulty, and the guitar was making no noise, and we're like out here like, oh, we should have fixed that before we came in, and we didn't. Took me about like 5 to 10 minutes to realize that it was not the cable. I had accidentally stepped on my tuner pedal, and
jeez.
all the volume just cut down, and I was like... I didn't say anything to the microphone. I just left it as it was a faulty cable. I'm not that stupid, I swear. Like, but yeah, that's what. If anyone was there at that show, it was at Ginger's bar, and they'll probably remember that moment where I was just there on the ground, like frantically just trying to figure out which cable was the issue.
The truth comes out.
Yeah, and it, like at one point, I brought extra cables just in case, and I replaced it, and still no sound was coming out. I was like, okay, it's not this cable. Which one is it then? And then I looked at, I played a note, and then I saw the tuner light up, and I was like, that's what it was. That's what it was. Rip.
All right, so if you were a song, what would it be and why?
Oh wow.
Mom on number 5 because I'm that annoying.
That's funny.
I mean...
No, please, God.
Wait, what did he say? I just started singing it.
No.
What was his name?
Yeah, so my friends, sometimes when we have one friend paying attention to his phone, we would just look at each other and we put Mumble number 5 on the table, like in different amounts until he notices, until the sound drives him crazy. So he'll put down his phone. That's where the beam comes from.
That's funny.
If I were a song, I don't know. I really feel time by Pink Floyd.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Talking a lot about Pink Floyd.
I know I'm talking a lot about Pink Floyd.
I said weird.
Weird.
We're also a
Yes.
part of that. We're just talking about it. I'm not clowning on you. I swear. I don't know.
That's a great question.
just
There's a song by this band. It's from Texas, I believe. But now they're in California.
You talking about one?
I'm talking about Juan.
Wand.
One of their songs, it's on an EP of theirs. It's called Me, like
Okay.
capital M, capital E. So I would be me. But no, I actually really love that song. I have a playlist of 940 songs, and that's the first one. I had to move it to the first.
Michael's alternative bops.
Yeah, my alternative bop.
Yeah, search for our bops on Spotify.
Oh yeah, on Spotify we have actual there's Michael's bops, Tomas's bops, and Luis's bops, and it's just mine is not nearly as extensive as yours. It's got 600 songs, I think.
Definitely not. Definitely
Yeah,
not.
but you made it more concentrated. You picked this is what makes me sort of thing.
Yeah.
True. I don't even know 900 songs, dude.
You definitely do. You definitely do. Trust me.
Okay.
You know more than I do. That's for sure.
Okay.
I feel that way. I mean, well.
Listen more.
Yeah.
Casual.
Damn. But no, I think a song that would, if I were a song, it would be Shadow by Wild Nothing.
Oh.
Yeah, that song just kind of I think it also just came at a very specific time in my life. It's just it's got this you can't really tell if it's really sad or relaxed and happy kind of vibe, and it's it sort of depends on when I'm listening to it, and the lyrics are very much just about yeah, it's sort of broken relationships and whatnot, and
States of discomfort.
yeah, and just not knowing what's up with certain people that were once in your life, and that they're no longer there, and you're just kind of I wonder whatever came of that person, but at the same time, I shouldn't be because that person hurt me,
Right.
And it's I don't know. Just,
Are you guys in relationships now?
Yes,
they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am not.
That's how we keep them writing.
Yeah, I'm the only one that's
Person.
I'm the only one that's allowed. I'm the only one that's not allowed to have a girlfriend, just because I have to write the miserable songs, or else.
There you go.
I have noticed I have slowed down since I found a reliable relationship.
I'm telling you.
I mean, there may be a correlation here. That happened to me for a while, and then we broke up, and it's no, I remember that weekend, I come back in and I'm talking, I'm yeah, I have 5 new songs, and he goes, "Who hurt you?" Who hurt you? And I said, "Yeah, my girlfriend broke up with me." He's that'll do that. It was just
Checks out.
checks out.
Okay, so what useless talent do you have?
I feel like that's something that you have a lot.
Oh, I can do that too. I'm not doing it for you guys.
That's
It's totally useless, though.
So,
An even more useless one is standing up.
get this. I can drum.
Oh, you just destroyed the entire sector of the population.
Also, I'm offended. That sounds like something you have a lot of. Is that what you said about me?
Oh, man.
No, I meant no, I meant you have a lot of things that you do, and I'm how can you even do that? And it's there's no practical use for it, but it's impressive. It's
I
damn.
feel that.
What did I do?
No, not you. Just I know people that they're just filled with skills.
Yeah, it's a bunch
How?
of different skills. And you're how do you do that?
Oh, the cool time I broke my wrist.
Oh no! What was that thing that you used to do with the the spit? It's when
Oh,
it goes all the
down
way.
and suck it out?
Yes, that thing, bro. You did that in middle school, but it was a talent. You used to get it all the way down, and then
Prodigy level.
prodigy level. I was looking at it
Oh my god.
I was disgusted, but I was severely impressed that you were able to do it. I was oh my
crab
god.
walk at 20 miles an hour back then. I was a menace.
Middle school, he was a fucking menace. The teachers were just.
I would climb up on top of the roof to get the ball.
It's a kid hit it on top of me. You're just yeah, Spider-Man.
Like Spider-Man, yeah. That's funny. That is funny.
Great time.
Okay, so what do we got here? So, what is the stupidest dare you have ever agreed to do?
Okay, so going back to my wrist. Okay,
No.
so I was taking a tour of Aventura Mall, and it's a big mall. And so we're passing by the Pink store, and I'm with my friend Andrew. I love him to the bottom of my heart. Andrew, if you're listening. I just went to his 18th birthday. And so we went in. He's like, dude, we got to lotion up. They got free lotion. We got to lotion up. And so we lotion up. And then
I remember that shit.
And then we get to the movie theater and we're still lotioned up.
Oh,
and
God.
then, we buy tickets to like this movie, and we would like movie hop to like the empty screenings of everything because they would just like play nothing. And so it was a dark room, and you know how like there's a tiny ramp and then a lot of stairs and then there's like an awning.
You got the stairs that are like that. Just like this is where you come in, and then you gotta go.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And then there's like the wall
Yes.
here.
There's like a balcony you can look down.
Yeah,
It's like a ledge.
Oh, boy.
So I'm like, yo, watch this. This could be so cool. I bet I could hang on to this.
Oh, God.
I forgot I was lotioned up. I forgot I was lotioned up. And I'm like, guys, I'm literally slipping. But they're also lotioned up. And so I end up falling like 30 feet. Onto my wrist.
Oh, my God.
He did this. He
And
did
we
this.
had
He
a
did this
show
2 weeks
coming up.
before a show that we had, and it was our first show with the old band, and we were all we were looking at him like. See, the reason this happened is because I wasn't there to tell him, no, don't do that. That is stupid.
I got up. I was like, okay, I'm literally fine. Like I landed on my feet and my wrist, but like I just thought I landed on my feet really well,
Yes.
and my wrist was swollen. Yeah, and I'm like, this swelling feels like bone. So yeah,
Nice.
that's a peace sign in my.
God. That is so funny. Okay, so what's your go-to jam other than Pink Floyd?
Like a band or like
Or any song like that. Like,
Nocturne.
Nocturne.
Nocturne by Wild Nothing.
Yes.
I don't know. I make it a really big point to find new music.
okay, well that's good.
But I really can't get over this Portuguese dude, Bruno Fernandes. Shouts out. He does like psych pop. That's orchestral,
Okay.
but Brazilian sounding. Really, really neat stuff. That's been my like when I like can't think of anything else to play. I'm like, it's gonna be
What's your go-to? Yep.
yeah, it's gonna be that or what you call it? Mild High Club.
Okay.
Mild High Club is so good.
I think like I mean that sort of changes for me like within time. Like it sort of depends on when you ask me, but recently I've been
Mine changes weekly, so.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've been like using it sort of as a vocal warm up. This song that it's called Big Black Car by Gregory Alan Isako.
Okay.
It's this like South African singer songwriter, and it's a really nice song. It's very small and like tender and just very. It's like this little love song, and it's very easy on the vocals because it's sort of softly sung, and it's got a really really nice melody. It's just like a standard progression like on the acoustic guitar, and it's just fun to just sort of like get in the mood of like playing music. And I've just been using that as a warm up recently. I've been using Running to Stand Still by U2 a lot too.
Okay.
So those two. I think that one just sort of came in because a friend of mine gave me a harmonica, and I was like, I have to use this.
Oh yeah.
And then that's like my favorite, like sort of like it's very simple, but just like harmonica riff is at the end of that song. But then this is where I came to the sad realization that harmonica was in C and the song is in D, so I could not play the song. But I started playing it as
Do
a
they make
guitar. anyway.
harmonicas like that differently?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
you, not me.
That's why when you blow in every hole, it sounds good.
Yes. That's why it
Okay.
sounds good
Well,
no
not
matter
when I
what.
do it. But.
I had a whole set that I regrettably gave away to someone. I don't even remember who.
Like, oh, a set of harmonicas?
Yeah, like every key.
That is so sad.
I mean, they were really cheap harmonicas, bro. They were not good. But
I would have nicked them off you.
One of the jams I keep going back to is by this local band that we actually saw not too long ago. Frog Chambers.
Ooh.
Oh my god!
I knew you
I
were gonna
saw
talk
that.
about
They're really good.
They're
yeah.
so good.
I need to reach
Shouts
out to
out.
them.
Dude,
Yeah.
Hereditary.
Hereditary. They're
Oh
Hereditary
my
is super good.
god.
blows everything out of the water.
yeah,
It's amazing.
Well, it's funny that you say that, and I appreciate that you brought up a local band like that, because, like I said, I don't think local bands get enough credit. Half these bands that you hear on the radio are just like, come on. But that's my go-to this week is Super Gold's new Gasoline. It's incredible. It really is, and it's
when it came out, my go-to was Piss Blue by Creature Cage.
Oh.
That song is like actually just like I listened to it and I was like, this is something that you'd hear like from like a well-known band. Like, it's that good. It's just, and it's not just good like writing wise. It's like the production also sounds really good. It's like damn, like I really like this at the time. But yeah, Hereditary by Brock Show Mercy. That thing is. I find myself singing it just like, oh, it's hereditary.
To this day, I'm actually in awe that we were able to see them live because I had it in my head that they weren't even a local act. Cause,
really?
Yeah, I just added their song to my playlist. I was like, this is...
And we're putting a show with them, bro. Awesome. Which is like that was the most insane part because we did try to play a show with them initially, but they're like kind of... they're kind of out of our league a little bit. And but we because we were friends with Ian from the Floridians. He's like friends with the people in that band, and we're doing a show with them on February 25th.
Awesome.
So with Creature Cage too. Center for Subtropical Affairs.
Oh, that's a nice venue there.
Is it?
Yes.
I haven't been to it yet.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. 21 and older, just so you know, for any of your fans that are coming out.
So sad.
While we are shouting out local bands, I know we don't play metal, but Headphone, their entire new album, fantastic. But I'm in love with the song "Enemy of Your Own Mind." That, first of all, I love the title, but it makes me feel things that I have not felt since I first encountered Slayer back in my high school days. So thank God for that album.
That's when you know you heard a good song.
Yeah.
It's when you're feeling things.
Head foam, like
with an M.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. So yeah, we've foam. We mentioned we mentioned Creature Cage already. Soft Cricket is another one we mentioned earlier. There, I listened to. Was it an EP or an album? I think it was an album. It was pretty long. Soft Cricket. Their thing. I don't know. I listened to the whole thing, and that was also really good. Stylistically, it was very
victim of your own mind. Yeah,
victim. Stylistically, it was all very consistent, which I thought was very interesting. Just because that's kind of an issue that we run into, where our songs kind of just go a little bit everywhere. We don't really have we have a sound, technically sort of a ballpark, but I guess we don't really have that much of a style. Just kind of do everything, and I like that. That's there's certain bands that can do that, but they have a sound.
Yeah.
And
I am kind of shocked that you're only 18 because your voice is very mature.
Thank you.
Very mature.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I started singing 2 years ago. Before that, I couldn't sing it. He'll remember. I used to howl. I wasn't singing just because I didn't practice it.
Right.
I also never thought I'd be good. It was the same thing as with music before. It was just it's constantly just this I would never be able to do it. I had this assumption that you had to be born a great singer,
right.
Otherwise you can't. Singing is not. It was just not for me. Right. And one day I got frustrated enough to the with people telling me that I wasn't good at singing, to the point where I just locked myself in my closet for an entire summer, just trying to get myself to sing. Oh. And I would take videos.
Takes, right?
I would take videos and I would listen to it. And I was like, no, that sounds bad. I have to do it better. And then I would just redo it. And that's eventually how I got.
You were your own teacher.
Kinda, yeah, but that's not a good thing for voice because then you end up hurting your voice.
Yeah, no, you do.
But I do try to go a lot on the internet and sort of see factually what is the healthy thing to do, and also since I go to a magnet school for acting, there's the musical theater strand, and I can talk to the kids in the musical theater strand who obviously they're all classically trained and stuff, and they know their shit, and I can ask them oh, is this bad? Is this good? What should I do? And they give you these tips that you're who even thought of that to begin with?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just kind of.
My daughter's taking voice 1 and no. All right. Some kind of theater and voice classes at school. And when I started the podcast, I was like, oh, my God, I hate my voice. I hate it. I hate it so much. And then she said, oh, we're learning how you deal with that in class right now. And I said, oh, well, what do I do? She's like, you just have to be okay with it. Like, well, there's a lot.
Look, there's a lot. I can tell you from experience, a lot of the advice that they give you in acting is that kind of thing of like, it's like, oh, no, duh, I could have thought of that myself. But then it's like, when you really think into the specific wording of what they said, like years later, it really starts to click in.
Mm-hmm.
It's that sort of thing, where it's just like very minute things, and you think about it, and you're like, you know what? I think I was just being an edgy asshole teenager and deciding not to listen. Maybe they were right when they said that. And you start to really just like internalize it in a weird way. But if you want more of like a practical advice, it's really just listen to your own voice a lot. Which since you're doing a podcast now, you're going to do a lot of that.
Yeah.
I mean, that happened to me when we went into quarantine. They didn't stop. They just said, okay, now you're just going to do all your acting shit at home. You're going to film yourself doing it,
really?
which was painful because it's like thin walls. My parents can hear me.
Right.
It's just really weird. But I had to get used to the fact that I was watching myself doing takes over and over and like listening to my own voice speaking.
Right.
And you kind of have to come to terms with that. And also as a singer, it's like, especially since I'm the producer for the band, I have to listen to myself sing and then go and be like, okay, is this good or is it not?
Right.
Despite my own opinions on my own voice, what is going on here? And I'd like to think I've reached a certain point where I can tell when I'm doing a good job or a bad job. I still, more often than not, get told that I'm doing a better job than I think I am.
Right, because you're always so critical of yourself. Like,
Yeah.
that's...
And I think especially with voice, that's just the thing that people in general are just like... Because I feel like with a guitar or an instrument, it's like, you are not producing the sound. You are producing the sound, but the sound isn't coming out of you. So it's like easier to just like step back and go, I played that riff well. Like, yeah, obviously, like I didn't mess up a note or anything. Like that was... But your voice is like so unique, and it's literally a part of you, since you use it every day, all day. It's what you use to express yourself. It just kind of like, it's personal in a way.
Right. That's true. Just kind of have to be okay with it, I guess. Like she said.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to do some rapid fire.
Rapid fire.
See if you guys do better than all the other bands that don't really do it as rapid fire.
Okay.
They usually are like,
Rapid fire.
Okay. All right, we'll start with Lewis. Ready?
Yes. No.
Who would you want to be on a deserted island with?
Who do I want to be on the deserted island with? My girlfriend, obviously.
Okay. Well, I mean, no, because I may not pick my husband.
My girlfriend is the most helpful person.
Okay,
I know.
cool.
She'll fix it. She'll freak out for an hour, but we'll fix it.
Alrighty, Tomas. What is the funniest prank you have ever done?
I've never been a pranks person.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I
question
can't
for you
really...
then.
I don't know. No, I can't remember.
You've
really.
had your few share of gaffes.
I'm sure I have, but I can't remember that now. That was like, if you want, I can share to you a prank that somebody told me about recently.
Okay.
A friend of mine told me about his little brother. He has his group of friends or whatever, and one of their friends, Tyler, mentioned mentioned the name of a girl once, like he said, oh yeah, like we're kind of whatever. 2 months later, down the line, he never mentioned her again. Everybody in the friend group still remembers that name somehow. They just kept it in their memory. And then what they did, they knew somebody that knew her, so they bought like a bunch of very like lovey-dovey sort of gifts. Put it all together, put it under his name, sent it to her on Valentine's Day, and he had no idea. And then the next day, this girl's like best friend comes up to him and goes like, "You asshole! How could you do that? What do you think you're trying?" And he's like, "What? What are you talking about?" And then when he realized what was going on, he was like, "Oh my god!"
Oh Jesus!
That's one of those pranks that's like, no, like that's a clear overstep of boundaries.
That's beyond prank.
But I remember when I heard it, it's like I shouldn't be laughing at this, but I am. Like that's awful, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah, well, no, that's beyond prank.
That was.
I have this friend of mine that pranks me like left and right. Like,
oh
he put
Jesus,
blue balls on the back of my van when I had a van. He put the "I love crack horse" bumper sticker on the back of my car. She set up a garage sale in front of my house while I was sleeping, put signs out, and said, knock for furniture. And this guy knocked on the door at 6:30 in the morning. And my husband had to leave the house to go take all the signs up. Like, it's a constant thing. So, yeah. So
That's dedication, Jesus.
Oh, she is dedicated to it. She is dedicated. And every time I try to get her back, I can't because she's got cameras right at the gates of her house and she knows.
Her fortress.
She's got, like, her 6 covered at all times.
Yeah. All right. So, Michael, if you could win a gold medal, what would it be in?
Overthinking at this point.
I don't know. I guess it would be for. I don't know. What are medals given out for?
Everything
Whatever
nowadays.
you're the best in.
Participation medal.
Yeah, exactly.
A participation medal.
Yeah, but this is the first place medal. What are you better at than anyone else?
I don't know. I guess for like track.
Okay.
Track.
All right.
I want to be the fastest in a place.
I'm a horrible runner. Horrible.
Me
I always
too.
just
I'm
wanted to be a
short
good runner.
distance.
It's like my legs, I move them so fast, I just don't get anywhere. It's
Really?
awful.
He was the most popular kid in elementary school. You know, like the one that can run the fastest is always the most
Oh,
popular.
yeah. Mhm.
You just,
Oh, it wasn't.
I know you weren't.
All right, Liz, if you could teleport right now, where would you go?
Very cool.
Right now, nowhere. I'm doing an interview, but I don't know. I've always wanted to travel to the desert.
Like the Arizona desert?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Yeah, just because like it's mad pretty. I've never been that far out west,
Yeah.
That's where my ancestors are from.
Really?
and it would be way better to teleport there than to drive out all the way
Mm-hmm.
until I decide it's desert enough. Because I'll probably give up early.
I would. All right, okay. Tomas. Name the first word that comes to mind.
Grass.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Wait, I just realized we know. What have you done to me? What have you done to me?
All right, Michael. Texting or calling?
Calling.
Okay.
Good man.
All righty, Liz. What phrase do you find yourself saying the most?
I really do be like that.
You say a lot. You say right, like when you agree with something, like somebody says
Right.
something, you go right, like
Correct, of course. I could be a lot. I remain skeptical.
Okay. Alrighty, Tomas. What mild animal are you secretively afraid of?
are spiders considered mild animals?
Yeah, I guess so.
I
I hate spiders.
I mean, I don't even think it's secret. No, cockroaches.
oh
Cockroaches.
God, that's out there.
That's
in this
not-
house. We all hate it.
Yeah, that's not like that. But the thing is, it's not even that secretive. Like, like, ugh. And especially the ones that fly.
Oh, the palmetto
That's like-
bugs. Yeah.
That's like
There's
no.
cockroaches to fly.
Yeah, they're called palmetto
Oh
bugs.
no.
No.
The ones that you
He's like they're evolving.
oh, no, like when there's bad storms outside and stuff, those are the ones that try to come in your house outside, and all of a sudden you think you're gonna kill it, and the shit flies away, and it's like, oh my God,
No.
they're like that big, they're huge,
Definitely
they're like on
not.
freaking
No.
steroids.
Don't need that.
Okay, Michael, what do you collect?
Well, I don't mean to brag. I used to collect Pokemon cards before.
Before the cool kids did it.
Yeah, in the second grade. But yeah, that just means that all my Pokemon cards are crumbled. Yeah. What do I collect? I like to paint on canvases, and I think I have like a big collection of canvases, paintings that I've made over the years
Okay,
that are like rolled up in my room. I guess that's what I collect now.
okay. All right, let's finish the sentence. Ed Sheeran is.
White? Question mark.
He's in dire need of help. This is the last music video I saw.
He took one look at the Bad Habits.
We actually
watched it together, like in communion, just laughing at it.
Yeah,
it
because we were like, "What's the worst music video?" And Michael was like, "Oh, I gotta show you this. I gotta show you this music video."
asking you this
Wait,
question.
the Bad Habits? I showed that one.
I
brought that one up.
He's the one that brought it up.
Yes.
My bad.
It was. How did I even hear about it?
It was definitely for me. Because I knew about it.
I don't know.
Did you also know about it?
Yes.
No, I think I can't remember.
It was
but
everywhere
it was.
on YouTube when it came out.
Yeah, that's probably why. Honestly, like, I mean, it's Ed Sheeran. He releases something and then it's everywhere.
I think in dire need of help just because I feel like he had potential and he has a fantastic voice, but I feel like he didn't know what to do with all that potential and all that money and all that voice, and now he is listening to the closest person to him, which is probably going to be a record executive, who's going to be like, we're going to get someone to write your song and you're just going to sing over it and you're going to be fine. And he's like, okay, and money's going to come in.
Yep.
You know? And I don't blame it at all.
Yeah.
But he needs help.
I mean, yeah, his first album.
Not as much as Kanye, but he needs help.
Okay, Kanye is.
Kanye needs help. he needs an emergency, bro.
Every time I start to love him, I'm just like, oh God, why?
I love him despite his flaws.
Oh, it's I don't even, oh my God. Okay.
No comment.
When I dance, I look like what? Not me, you.
A very weird flailing monkey.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
Accurate.
I can't. Damn. ask anybody that has ever seen me dance before. I do this little thing on stage where it's like I kind of look like my knees are just kind of like bending and then not bending.
Gumby?
Sort of. It's like I like step like side to side like type of shit. Just like with my knees just like constantly like a spring. Just like imagine that. While going side to side, that's what it looks like. It just looks weird, and then just general dancing in terms of like on the dance floor. I've done it once,
I don't either. I'm a
and
chick
that's
dancer.
because a specific girl was involved and nothing else.
Oh God.
No other reason.
The things we do for these girls.
Right?
Yeah. All right, Michael. What fashion trend do you wish would disappear forever?
I'm a fan of the fishnets.
Okay. All right. Fishnets.
Okay.
Okay, so
He's like, it's a
Louis,
brute.
street smart or book smart? I think I know this one. Book smart.
I think so too.
I don't even know why I asked you that question. Okay, so what celebrity annoys you the most?
Celebrity. I don't even know if I keep up with celebrity culture enough to say that, but
Well, I mean, the default. Cardi B. I'm kidding.
Cardi B is annoying.
She is.
Um,
Not so much.
I feel like you relate
Not
a
so
lot
much.
to Sting.
I feel like both of the
Huh?
Jimmys.
I feel like you relate a lot to Sting.
100%.
why is that?
Both of the Jimmys.
Kimmel and Fallon?
Yeah.
Yes. 100%.
Are we in
Because-
agreement? Are we in agreement? Both of the Jimmys?
You know what? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my. Just because, I mean, like, it's like one of those things where I am never, ever, 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 ever going to watch your show because of you. I am watching it because of the guests.
Yes.
And if anything, you are inhibiting that experience of me getting to know this guest that I've signed up to watch.
Yeah.
But I can definitely say that the experience with you has been the complete opposite. So
Oh.
Been a lovely host here.
Well,
been a
thank
lovely
you.
host. But in those cases, yeah.
I
There's
agree with that.
There's this clip of like I still don't even know if it's staged. I hope for his sake that it was staged, but there's this like instance where Jimmy Kimmel, I think it was Jimmy Kimmel.
So hard to discern.
Yeah, it's like they're clones. They're all just made in a factory. But yeah, Jimmy Kimmel was doing an interview with Joaquin Phoenix, and have you seen the Joker movie?
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, this was for the Joker movie.
Mm-hmm.
And he was being, like, quite a bit of an asshole to Joaquin Phoenix, and he was just kind of looking at him the whole time, like, And it was uncanny, like the parallels that were being drawn to the very movie that he was promoting. Just the talk show scene in that movie and what was going on there. I was half expecting Joaquin to just like lose his mind right then and there.
Which is quite possible.
Which is quite possible. And I was like, oh my god, what am I watching? The thing is, it's like on one hand, yeah, a lot of these things are staged, but on another hand, it's like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think Jimmy Kimmel, his show is big brain enough at that level where they did that on purpose.
No, it's
especially
not. It's not at all.
Especially just like looking at his face, because he looks like he does kind of. There's kind of a moment where I feel like he looks like, oh, I think I may have overstepped here or something.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe that wasn't planned.
Like Joaquin Phoenix literally looks like he's dying inside.
I felt so.
No, Joaquin Phoenix is an amazing actor.
No, in the moment when
like
he was in that interview, he looked like
yeah.
he looked like he was dying inside, just like.
Did you guys see his movie on here? Or this is me. What the hell's me?
You were never really here.
No, that's what it.
Is it new?
I was never really here.
It was the documentary that he did. And it left everybody wondering if it was actually true, where he was leaving the industry and becoming a rap star.
Yeah, I remember that.
What is the name? Oh my god, was that not great?
I haven't seen it. It's on my list.
You gotta watch it.
I have an absolutely massive movie list.
The fact that he pulled off making people actually think that was going to happen.
It was absolutely brilliant, and it was produced or directed by Casey Affleck.
I can see it.
Okay, let me see here. This is me. It's gonna drive me nuts. I'm sorry. Gotta figure it out.
Go ahead.
He is one of my favorite actors.
To add on to what you're saying about like talk show hosts getting in the way of the actual interviews, I feel like Zappa talked about this because Zappa in almost all of the interviews says he dislikes interviews.
Thank you so much.
And the reason why was because he felt that it was a very unnatural way of finding out who a person was. And he described it as like no conversation feels like a TV interview, a 5-minute TV interview.
Exactly.
Well, I think that it's a little different when you have like more intimate settings, just like but when there's an audience, I think that it changes there. It becomes a lot more about putting on a show,
right?
Type of deal.
It's true.
Yeah, and like I even remember like one where, so this was the other Jimmy Fallon, where Roger Waters came on for it, and he started asking questions about Sid Barrett.
Okay.
But he did it in a very, very insensitive way. And you could tell that, like, Roger was angry. And, like, he was, like, containing it, you know? He was, like, being polite. He was like, no. Because he was saying things like there's the whole story that I brought up earlier where Sid Barrett showed up to the studio while they were recording Wish You Were Here. He showed up and he was unrecognizable because he'd gained a lot of weight. He had shaved his head and his eyebrows. And he started, like, making jokes about it. He's like, didn't he, like, come in with, like, a lollipop, too, or something? And he's like, well, no, that didn't happen. But, the whole thing, and, like, he was laughing about it, so he's like, I don't know why you're laughing about it. It's a very serious matter. I don't think that's worth joking about. And it was, I don't know, it was a little sad to see, especially because he just kind of brushed it off. He's like, no, I, that wasn't my intention. But anyway, and then he just kept talking, and it's like, I don't know.
No, I think that Fallon's a little bit more tolerable than
Kimmel?
Kimmel is more tolerable than Fallon. No. Actually, they're both the same.
One acts like they're perpetually trying to be loved and, like, make it seem like he gets drinks with the person, and then the other one...
Yeah.
The other one has a history of blackface. So,
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
What?
So it's terrible.
Okay.
It's terrible.
Kimmel-
I'm still here. You gotta check it out.
Okay. We'll check it out then.
Incredible. Okay, so, anyhow, if you had one message for your fans, what would it be?
We love you.
We love you.
We love you. We love you.
So what's next for you guys? Like, what's in the upcoming months? Lots of gigs, releases?
Yeah, so, like, the main thing here, this is, like, coming out in around March, right? So, okay. What we got is the album, Head First, It's our debut album, coming out March 12th. That's a Saturday, and we're also going to be doing a release gig for that day. So if you're in town, if you're in the area, make sure to stop by. We'd love to have you there. And it's something that we've been working on for a long time. It's completely just like in our garage, produced by us, and yeah, it became sort of a meme at one point where people like would just ask like, "When's the album coming out?" Because we were taking so long, and because we never knew when it was coming out, because it was always like, "Okay, it's not quite done yet. It's still not quite done yet," and we kept pushing it back.
We thought September, then November.
Yeah, and then eventually we put a stopper on it, and we were like, "Okay, this is the final product," and we're proud of this, and we've put our heart and soul into it, and we hope that you guys enjoy it as much as we enjoyed making it, and as much as we enjoy playing it live.
So where's the release party going to be at?
You know that place?
It's going to be a house in North Miami.
Okay.
It's a house show.
So they're going to have to DM you for the address if they're coming?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll probably make it.
Once we finalize that, those details, there'll be more information out.
Okay.
In the meantime, I'd like to tell all our fans that you're on an island. And you're in island.
You're on an island, and you are an island.
Tomas is an island. Michael is an island. Stage Mom is an island. And we, at times, might feel lonely as an island, as a small piece that's not part of a bigger whole. But no island is complete without an ocean. And it's the ocean that
Connects us all.
connects us all. Make sure that we're islands. And the only way to reach out across these oceans is through sound waves. And we're hoping that the album does exactly that.
It shall be your ocean on which to connect to other people.
Yes.
Wow.
Really.
Yeah.
I told you were interesting. So, do you have anything else you want to let everybody know? Or?
Possible business ventures?
Nah.
Nah. I feel like there's definitely something I'm missing, and I'm gonna remember it as soon as
Oh,
you
well,
stop
shows
Yes.
coming up.
Yeah, what are
Shows-
your upcoming shows?
Shows. Oh, well, a majority of them will have been done by the time that this interview is out.
I would
but
like to get them out of the way anyway.
Sure. Sure.
Actually, you know what? You should say to them like we already did them, and they went fantastic. You want to thank everyone for coming.
Biggest shows ever.
So I want to thank you guys really for coming out February 12th to our Tea and Poets gig. That shit was phenomenal.
It was awesome.
Tore the house down. Absolutely incredible. And then on the 25th, when we did that one at Subtropical Affairs, like
Shouts out
Frog
to
Show Mercy,
Creature.
Creature Cage,
Frog Show
Floridians,
Mercy.
Frog Show Mercy, they were all there.
Floridian.
It was like the event of the century, and I'm glad you guys were there to witness it. And then
come out.
and
to
then
see-
next up, is March 12th is the house show, which
Release party.
the release party.
Yes.
And that's gonna be interesting. We're gonna play the whole album, see how that goes.
Fun.
And then after that, we are planning a show at a coffee house again. We want to go
Underground?
Yeah, because we only played once.
So fun to play there.
Yeah, it really is, and the people there are really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. The tater tots are
To die for.
delish.
Never had. Gonna have to try them out.
You do it. They take a little while to like finish making them, but once they're there, it's like
It took a while to make my tea, so I
it's
can
just
imagine how long it takes for tater tots.
yeah.
Hot chocolate, though.
I think it's just because they have less. They don't have that many people working
Yeah.
there, but like it's
It's all volunteer now. They don't
Really?
even get paid.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So you gotta tip them when you're there.
Yes. Make sure to tip them.
support your local scene. Please.
Yes.
support the local
So
scene.
you guys don't have merch yet. Are you planning on getting any merch?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Will you have it available for that
For the
show?
house show.
Hopefully.
Okay.
I mean, the plan is by the time this is out, the merch should be around.
All right.
So far, the only thing we have is stickers. We're trying to make shirts, hoodies,
Yep.
pins,
Yep.
things of the sort. We're trying to see if we can finalize like a website as well in where to sell all of our
Yep.
merch and have all of our stuff. Then we realized that we don't have any pictures of us, and that was a little. For some reason, we always just forget to do like photo shoots and things like that. So the website ended up a little empty, but we're getting there. We're starting to take more.
That's what happens.
Yeah, we're doing more photo shoots, just trying to like fill up the space and make the website look nice and tidy for all of you.
And what's your Instagram, and do you have Twitter? And
Yeah, so our Instagram is at telekon.official. That's TELEKON.official. And then Twitter, also without the dot, just Telekon official. TikTok, telekon.official. It's all kind of the same, so that it's easy to follow.
Yes.
We're trying to be more active on Twitter and TikTok, but it's especially difficult just because I think us as a collective, we don't spend much time on those platforms, so trying to get to know them is a little more, you got to find your way and all that. And, but yeah, Instagram seems to be like our sort of like our main hub of operations.
Yeah, it is.
And we have a YouTube channel, which, like I mentioned earlier, has been usurped by the evil Telekon. But we do post things there every now and then. And what else do we have social media wise? I think we have SoundCloud, we have
our link tree,
Bandcamp,
Yeah.
and obviously all our stuff is on Spotify. Follow us there,
Right.
Apple Music, Deezer, all the big platforms. Yeah, I think that's all of it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you. This
really
was a lot of
enjoyed
fun.
talking with you guys. I found you super interesting,
Thank you.
very mature, and I'm gonna try to make it out to the coffee house gig so I can see you guys live and hopefully not go through the floor. So,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully I will.